wanted to take some time to just share with you a little bit about Women with Grit. What is the story behind it? How do we get started with it? You know, I've got partner in crime here, Lee Willette.
Hey, what's going on?
And I'm Sherelle Lands, and we're just so excited about this concept called Women with Grit, where we interview just exceptional women within the community and around the world who are doing phenomenal things. So how do we get started with this concept, Lee?
Well, I think ultimately it was a reaction to COVID. We were literally working on a different concept that involved women and really helping women have the opportunities to progress in their careers, and we're really putting something together to do that. And we had all these people lined up to interview and to get information from, and COVID happened. And so.
That changed life for everyone.
It did, and so for us, we were talking one day, and so we were talking about what we're doing, and I said, I'm thinking about doing this podcast, and I'm thinking about doing this, and he said, okay, let's do it. And so Women with Grit came.
There it is. Big on execution, we make it happen.
Yes, so it's been exciting.
Yes, it has. And we've had just phenomenal guests even over the last year, and looking forward to all that's coming ahead. So how can they reach us?
They can reach us on YouTube, Exceptional Women with Grit. You can subscribe to our page. You can check out our Facebook page, Women with Grit, or you can go to our website, womenwithgrit.com.
That's it.
And the best way to catch us is Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, when Sherelle and I are live with our guests. And literally, I think the most exciting thing for me is what we talked about. We wanted to have a program that brought in women from around the world. So that's our globe here. We literally interview people in Bogota, Colombia, over in London, and then all over the United States as well. So that's been exciting. That's one of the benefits of COVID. Everybody's used to this virtual world, and nobody feels like they have to fly in to be live in the studio.
That's right. So hopefully you will join us live or catch the replay, right?
The replays, that's right. We have a bunch of replays, and I mean, if I were you, I would binge listen. People binge watch on Netflix, binge listen and watch Women with Grit. There have been some phenomenal interviews and some phenomenal tips that will help anyone. We have men and women that watch.
That's right.
And I think the tips that you get, the things that you learn from these women that are our guests will help anyone advance their careers, advance their lives, and just really live a full life and a happy life. And I think that's exciting.
Yes, I would agree 100%. So if you're interested, definitely join us, follow us, engage with us, like us, share it, all of those things. And if you know a phenomenal woman or a woman with grit that you would recommend being on the show, be sure that you write us on any one of those forums, and a member of our team will get back to you.
Yeah. And don't forget, if you have a product or service, a company that you want to promote or a cause, give us a shout. We're happy to do that. There is a cost. But it's not much, not yet. So you better get in while it's cheap.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you. And so far, we'll see you online.
Talk to you later. Peace.
Bye. Well, good evening, everyone. Hello. Who do we have in the room? Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us here on Women with Grit, where we interview amazing women around the world who are doing phenomenal things. And tonight you are in for another treat, as we have another woman in STEM. So go ahead and grab your favorite drink, your beverage of choice, your favorite snack, and join us as we talk with Nikki tonight. So you guys are in for a super treat. And you know how we do. We'd love to engage with you. So please leave your name, city, state, or country that you are joining in from in the chat function so that we can greet you properly. So we thank you so much for definitely taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening. Don't be shy. As you all know, we love questions and love to engage with our guests and you as well. So one of the things that I definitely wanted to let you guys know, as you'll see, I'm spinning in a big chair, at least by myself for the first couple of minutes. Lee is on his way, as we do as busy professionals, move from one thing to the next. So he'll be joining us a little bit later, but that won't stop the show. And we will continue on with the party because we have an amazing time ahead of us. But before we go any further, I definitely want to take an opportunity to thank our sponsors, of which tonight they had a meeting, which is the tableaction.org. And if you don't know about the tableaction.org, you make sure that you check them out online at thetableaction.org. Okay. They're doing phenomenal things in the city of Nashville to diversify the portfolio by which opportunities reach people of color, right, or BIPOC communities. So we want to make sure that you do your part or our part in definitely supporting that organization. Also, vision strategy management, where we truly believe in building businesses and teams who succeed. And when I tell you the focus is truly on the state in the space of execution and how to get things done, that is where we focus our time. That is where we focus our energy. We focus on really doing doing the details of bridging the gap and managing, helping entrepreneurs and small business owners manage the middle. You've got a business, you got an idea or a concept that you want, you have a vision that you want to manifest, and we help you take it from where you are to get you to the right step or the right place. Because that's one of the things that we often say is, what's the next best decision to make? And how do I take where I'm going and align it with where I am so that I can create the right roadmap? So that is what we truly believe in doing. Check us out online, www.visionstrategymanagement.com. Leave me a link. You can also get on our calendars to get a free business assessment done there as well. So I'm so excited that you all have joined in. And again, you guys didn't come on to hear me talk, right? You came on to hear another one of our amazing guests. So I want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to connect with Nikki. As you know, in October, we've been focused on women in STEM, women in technology who are doing truly amazing and inspiring things. And tonight, we have no shortage of that with our guest, Miss Nikki Strather Middleton. And she is from Motor City and a native of Detroit, Michigan. After graduating from the magnet program of Class Technical High School, she attended Howard University and obtained her Bachelor's of Science degree in Systems and Computer Science. Nikki later received a certificate of the business acumen from Georgia Tech. She is the daughter of an educator and a philanthropic real estate developer who instilled the importance of education and civic responsibility. Nicole is driven by being a thriving product of or from the challenging Detroit public school system. She is the proud wife of Benjamin Middleton Jr. and the mother of two beautiful daughters. She is a seasoned software engineer, providing creative design solutions for various organizations to include those in telecommunications, healthcare, banking, and insurance. She is an expert in the practical implementation of software principles. Her leadership skills include overseeing web application design and the implementation of technical solutions, providing quality product management support, being a strategic thinker, and understanding risk management to mitigate negative risks. As an expert in the technology and infrastructure advisement, Nikki will be a valuable source to any and all of the board of directors. She wants to create opportunities for children who may not be able to afford private education, but curate a quality education that will prepare them for college and a sustainable career. Guys, help me bring to the stage Miss Nikki Strather Middleton. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. And how about yourself?
I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us on Women with Grit. You know, we just believe in truly shining a light on all of the amazing work that you're doing and all of the amazing work that women such as yourself are doing around the world. So thank you for taking the time to be on the stage and to share your story.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, you know me, I love to jump right into it, right? And the first thing we definitely want to know from you is tell us about your unique story of grit.
My unique story of grit. Okay, well, right before I graduated, I started working for Sprint Nextel, more of the Nextel side of Sprint. And I worked there for a little less than 2 years. And they had a series of layoffs after layoff, like quarterly layoffs. Mm-hmm. I got caught in one of the layoffs, and after I moved to Atlanta. So I'm in a new city, and now I have to figure out what I want to do. I searched for jobs for almost 2 years. But the senior developers were coming down, and they were taking junior developer jobs because this was right in the middle of the recession. And so
Mhm.
everyone was just kind of scrambled and trying to get into jobs where they got there. So I ended up in a position where a recruiter told me that my resume was too stale and I couldn't get back into IT. Luckily, I ended up interviewing and getting with a company called McKesson, and they had a QA position, and they wanted someone who was technical enough to write scripts for C# scripts to run the code, to run the tests. So I ended up getting back in there and then kind of moving my way back into development, which is really, it was challenging at first, but I'm glad I'm back.
Welcome back. So tell me, how did you get into, because that's one of the things, and I will come back to that, which was being able to thrive, especially during the recession in 2 years, 2 years of unemployment. That's tough, and it can, weigh, especially when it comes to our psyche, especially as women in STEM. And it reminds me of one of actually our very first guest on the show. Her name is Lisa Pointer. And Lisa was an executive that went through, she talked about her story of overcoming 100 no's, right? And how, as an executive, and what that felt like to be in that space of being constantly told no. However, she had been thriving for so many years. And I could imagine not only in that space, but in technology in general, there's often the aspect of hearing the word no or kind of having to bounce back to that. But what led you to the field of technology, which is, traditionally male dominated and sometimes can be quite challenging?
My mom. It was my mom. She was assistant dean at FAMU, and I went to Cass, and my mom said, "You can choose between these two curriculums." It was computer programming and arts and science, and the arts and science curriculum was the heavy AP one that didn't have a lot of electives, and so the computer programming also has some business stuff and some funner electives. So I chose computer programming,
Mhm.
and I was good at it. I ended up being good, and my basic teacher pulled me aside and said, "Hey, we have a competition, and we want you to represent Cass in the competition."
Mhm.
So that was my junior year. So my junior and senior year, I ended up representing the school in the Visual Basic competition,
Right.
placing out of Detroit and going to the state championships, where we got to take Thursday and Friday. We got an excused absence. We got to stay in GM's headquarters, and we had this whole big competition with everyone across the state, which was absolutely amazing. And then for college, it kind of just was natural to kind of continue that.
Mm, that's awesome. And would you say, going, coming from Detroit, how has Detroit shaped you as an individual or as a professional?
As an individual, I carry it with me every day. I have, I think, almost every Detroit versus everybody shirt that they ever made. I also have Cass Tech versus everyone.
Right.
Um, it's just, I guess, a part. So when a lot of times I say I'm going home,
Hmm.
and when I say I'm going home, I don't mean I'm coming home to my house. I mean I'm going back to Detroit.
Yeah.
So it's really a part. It's
Mhm.
definitely helped.
And then you mentioned that you hail from an HBCU,
Oh
which
yes.
is awesome. Both Howard and FAMU sounds like.
Well, not really hailing from FAMU. My
Right.
mom was there, and
Right.
so she was assistant dean. And funny story, she actually once gave her students a test, and she said that they could either have their curve or I could take the test, and if I they could accept my curve, and they chose my curve, and my curve was higher than theirs.
Oh, wow.
I think it was in sixth grade.
Really? At the time?
Yeah, I was in middle school, so
Mm,
um, they weren't very happy with me. But yeah, Howard was a great experience
that was, I mean, that's
as
phenomenal.
well. Yeah.
And so like for me, I attended Florida State, but Florida State and FAMU, I'm an engineer too. Florida State and FAMU, the College of Engineering is actually one.
Right.
So you attend one school, you're essentially attending both. How has, or how would you say the HBCU experience has shaped you into be when it comes to being in technology, or how has that prepared you for any challenges you may have faced as, a woman, African American in the technology or STEM field?
Well, one thing for me in early education, I went to a private school, and so there wasn't there weren't a lot of other kids like me. There were actually two black girls and one black boy in my class.
Mhm.
So for me, going to Cass, being around more black people, I was like, okay, this is cool. I like this. And then when I went to Howard, it was like, I get it, you know? So it's definitely been a great experience. Um, Howard itself was definitely a kind of a lesson in trying to figure things out, growth, growing up, getting out of my bubble, um, learning how to be an adult, learning. It's, it's really kind of learning and growing and finding out what the world was about.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I want to bring it back to our theme. Our theme today is really around the balancing act of technology, life, and even the luxuries that exist within each of those areas. How would you say that you are doing with balancing it all?
A lot better than I used to.
Okay,
A
good.
lot better. I have actually figured out how to automate things in my house so
Mhm,
that it doesn't take as much time so that I can find ways to do other things.
mhm,
And also kind of been a exercise in learning how to juggle um, because my kids are really small. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And
mhm,
so learning how to be a new mom and get everything I need to do for them, plus everything I need to do for work and everything that needs to be done for the house, and how I can kind of hit multiple birds with one stone,
mhm,
or turn my Roomba on so I don't have to sweep every night, or just things like that.
mhm. Little quick tips and tricks throughout the house. So, and tell us more about like what are some things that other moms can do to automate their household who may have young children or who may be in a demanding career?
Definitely get a Roomba.
Get a
Definitely
Roomba.
get a Roomba. The Roomba has saved my floors. My I don't know what it is. My 3-year-old, when she doesn't want to eat something, it finds its way to the floor.
Mhm,
And I have so much going on. I can't keep up with it. So
mhm,
I actually have my Roomba on a schedule,
mhm,
and I tell it to clean the room, and then I go upstairs, and it's quiet. The new ones are quiet. So the old ones were loud, but the new
mhm,
ones are quiet. They run and they don't keep the kids up. It just runs. It goes back to its bin, and the bin sucks everything out that it picked up. It just sucks up into its little compartment, and it's done. Um,
mm,
that's helpful. One Another thing I ran into was the laundry. I would put a load of in the laundry. I would forget it was in the washing machine,
mhm,
and it would smell horrible. And I would wash it 3 or 4 times because I would be so busy that I kept forgetting it in the washing machine.
mhm,
My washing machine sends me notifications when the clothes are about to get done, and then there's a setting where it will spin it for 8 hours to keep it from getting smelly until I come back. So if I'm running and I forgot, maybe I set it in the morning, and then we decided to go to the gym and go to the store and all these other things. By the time that I come back, the laundry is still in somewhat of a good shape.
mhm.
Um, what else? To automate the home.
Yeah, So one of the things, at least for me, that I remember from, just for our viewers, Nikki and I connected again. Actually, what was that now? 2, 3 weeks ago, at an event in Atlanta, and we
Yeah.
were talking about just how to make a simple process more efficient and better, so that you're not having to do the same thing over and over again. And one of the things that I think about, which sometimes becomes secondhand or second nature, especially when you are in a space, when you're in a career field that is all about automation, is that not everybody thinks in that line, right? Of being able to make things something that takes a whole lot of time and be able to just do it simply, or be able to continue to automate it. So I appreciate the fact that you said, sometimes it's setting a timer on the washer, because a lot of the times we're constantly on the go, we're constantly moving. And when I think about just, moving about the house, even for myself, is what are those things that take me more than 30 minutes to do, and how do I find a way to either cut down the time or automate, either automate or delegate. That's typically what I say. So I appreciate that. And it just made me think of, when it comes to you, the algorithm of life, right?
Well, yeah, you may not have time to physically go and do everything,
Mm-hmm.
but if you put different things in different buckets, and you have time to manage different things, you may not be able to. Like, I don't have time to sweep. I don't have time to sweep, but I do have time to manage my robot. So that frees up my time so I can do something else.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you said it, because a lot of the time, that's one of the things that we think about. If we're always on the go, and I have this thought process that I reserve my mental capacity for things that require mental capacity. And if it doesn't require me to remember it, or if it doesn't require mental capacity, I'm finding a way to take it out of my brain, put it on a list, set a timer or whatnot. Like, I am the queen of scheduling messages. When I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, my mind is fresh. um, and after I've done my morning routine, or sometimes maybe I'm at the gym and I'm working out, but I realize it's too early to send someone something, I schedule a message and it'll go out and hit their box whenever it does. But I get it out of my brain so that I can truly focus on, the things that I need to. And I say that because, just like what you're saying, the Roomba, all of these things that help us continue to do life more efficiently, they're so important and they matter, especially when you're a busy professional. So I appreciate you sharing that.
They definitely do. And the thing about the messages is funny, because I wake up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, remembering I was supposed to text somebody, and I would schedule a message
Yeah.
for I was
Mhm.
for 10:46 or something, some odd random.
I understand it. I when it happens to me, I am the queen of, like, schedule it. That way I can forget about it. It doesn't go on a list. It immediately is dealt with.
Yes.
So I love the fact that you said that. So coming back to you, what or who, when you think about your story of grit, when you think about, what led you, and you talked about your mom as to how and why you got into the technology field, but what or who inspires you, whether it be to be a wife, a mother, whether it be in your extracurricular activities as well as in your professional career?
Let's see. So my parents have definitely been inspiring. My dad is always on like this on an epic mission, and everything he does is so big, and it's like, wow, I want to do big things too. And my mom is so detail oriented, and she makes sure that everything's done, and she has her kind of list of what's important, and so she's just kind of methodic about making sure that everything gets done. I'm like, okay, I want to be big and I want to be organized. And then there was my grandma, who was just like the nicest person you would ever meet, and patient, like just
Mhm.
patience that I have never seen since her. And so I kind of want to do that too. But then I grew up in an organization called Jack and Jill. I grew up in the Detroit chapter. So along with them, I had all these amazing moms that kind of were just around us all the time, that were really close with my mom. And so we would always we would always be together, and we would always, be over Aunt Shirley's house or at one of the other mom's houses, and just watching them in their elements and watching them work and just juggle everything, which is amazing to watch growing up.
Mhm. And I think it's important. We'll talk a little bit about that when we come back from the break. But I would love to pick your brain on, as you're talking about these people who have inspired you along the way. How important is it, or has it been for you in your career or in overcoming those difficult moments? How important has it been for you to have the right people around you? So hang on to that. We'll bring you back, because we're already halfway through the show, believe that or not, right?
Wow, that was quick.
It goes by so fast. So we'll bring you back up in just a moment. Definitely want to get an opportunity to thank our sponsors. I believe Lee is back in the room, so I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to get him as well. But in the meantime, guys, go ahead and put your name in the chat. Let us know that you're here. We want to make sure that we acknowledge you and give you an opportunity to say hello to Nikki. Be sure to ask or leave any questions that you have. We'll bring you right back up, Nikki. Go ahead and grab a drink of water.
All right.
But one of the things that we definitely want to do is make sure that you guys get an opportunity to connect with Nikki this evening. So make sure that you leave your name, city, and state that you're joining in from. And you guys are quiet tonight, so I feel like giving something away. All right. So I've got a couple of books actually that I have published, and I've got the next one that's coming out. So to those who are able to just leave your name, city, and state and give us a question, right? I'll give the first person who has a question that they're able to raise to Nikki one of my books or something of the sort from Women with Grit. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I'll make sure that our team gets back with you. Again, thank you all for joining this evening on Women with Grit. We are here with Nikki Strather, Middleton this evening, making sure that we connect with Nikki tonight. We're talking about how do we do this balancing act, right? Life, women, being able to manage between, life, career, children, etc., the whole nine as well. And I want to make sure that we get an opportunity to connect with Lee, who is now back in the room. So I'm going to bring him back on stage. Hey, Lee. I think we got you frozen. There you are. Hey, Lee, I think you're quiet. I mean, you might be muted. You might want to check your microphone just a little bit or whatnot.
I haven't said anything. Can you hear me?
Oh.
Mic check.
I thought you were there speaking, laughing, talking on mute. How are you this evening? Doing double duties and roles? You know how we do.
It's been a full day.
I get it.
Thank the Lord for a full day, for sure. It's been exciting.
That's right. Could be the opposite side of things, right?
Yeah, just left the table meeting. HCA hosted. We had a really good time today. Great conversations. Good. We had new faces, new members. So it was really, really good, and as always, good to catch up with people we've seen. Started off the morning. The chamber had a breakfast, honored dear friend Gerald Freeman with a phenomenal video, and his kids were there. They awarded gave his kids an award for him, and recognizing his service to the city of Nashville. So it was been a really good day. And of course I had some other meetings too, but great to see you. Great to be here.
Yes, good to see you as well. Before we go on from the table, give our audience either 2 points that you grasped from the meeting today, or 2 things that they could look forward to by joining.
It's I tell you what. So the way we measure the results with the table. So our mission is to grow prosperity for people of color in Middle Tennessee. So it's and create the model city. Help Nashville to become the model city for diversity and equity, and we do that by creating economic prosperity opportunities for people of color. So you think about that, and we came up with that because one of the things that we talked about, and Daryl was one of our founding members. He said, Lee, we got to figure out ways for people to make money. If they make money, they can pay for they can determine what zip code they live in, to kind of get rid of crime or what have you. Or if they're making money, they don't, maybe some of the crime just goes away naturally because they have money. They can determine if they want to do private school, if they want to do public school. They can pick the school zone. They can pay for their own health care. Just like so many different things that can happen if people have money. And so makes sense, right? So one of the ways we find out how people are, if people, how successful it is we get what we call result stories.
Mm-hmm.
And inevitably, and we say this all the time, even during the meeting today. We said, hey, we want you to give us your result stories. We want you to give us your result story. So we had a woman that at our last meeting met someone from, so it was Diana Vega, and she met someone from Pinnacle Bank.
Mm-hmm.
I give them a shout out because this turned into money. And she met, they talked, and they said, talked about some needs that they had. She followed up. They said, hey, yep, great. She sent her proposal over. They said, great. And they've already done business. They've already cut the check.
Good.
And so, and that's from a meeting in August, and this has already happened. It's already history. It's already happened, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we talk about is really being able to move expeditiously, not making it something that's long and drawn out, for pennies. It's, and so, I talked about our request, and I made a joke to everybody. I said, Kate and I, my co-founder, we always find out about different deals after, later on. Y'all don't tell us everything. We find out by happenstance. We'll be standing somewhere and somebody just bring it up.
Yeah.
Do you know that right after the meeting, I'm standing out talking to a couple of people, and one of the members, I was telling her thank you for inviting someone to the meeting, and she said, "Oh yeah, great." And I was introducing her. I said, "Do you know Larry?" And she said, "Oh yeah, Larry and I met at the last meeting. I think it was the last meeting or meeting before." And I introduced him to my husband, who creates and designs hospitals. And so Larry has a technology that he and his partner have created that helps out with healthcare systems and hospitals. And she said, yeah, so they've met. They had a big meeting, and I know they're moving along with the process. I was like, really? Y'all couldn't say that in the meeting. So anyway, we see a lot of things happening, and it's just wonderful. The other aspect of it, and I'll stop, is just the fact that people are getting to know people that are outside of their sphere, outside of their normal grouping of people, and they're becoming friends as opposed to just business associates or somebody that you see from time to time. So that's the other cool part. They're people that you just call up and say, hey, what's up? What are you up to?
Right, which is nice, right? Relationships. Nice, right? That's typically where it starts, especially when it comes to being able to do effective business over time, right? It's in the ability to create relationships where perhaps it wouldn't otherwise exist. Exactly. I want to give you a challenge, and maybe you've already thought about this, Lee, but one of the things that you said is that you're essentially, the conversations that are taking place aren't taking a long time. You're being able to consolidate that timeline. But, maybe there's a metric in there somewhere where you can say the table, by coming to the table, instead of it taking 6 months, it now takes 2 on average. I don't know. But just a thought.
That's a good thought. Yeah, the disparities are so great right now that, you can win.
I got you.
But we do have members. I know Eldie and Delisa Guerrier, and Pat Emery, who's a major developer in town. He developed the Fifth and Broad project, where the National Museum of African American Music is, the Apple Store, and all that stuff is downtown. He just recently passed away. But he's somebody we were able to connect them with, with the Storyville Gardens and the development that they're doing. And that's the first thing LD said is, at some point I would have met Pat, but it's probably been 10 years from now before I would have gotten a meeting with him. Whereas you all made a phone call and we met with them, a day or two later. And so and because Pat was one of our founding members, and then the Guerriers are members, it was like an instant connection. So, that's what I would say, if nothing else, that's the cool thing. One of the cool things about the table.
Awesome. Okay, well, you guys can definitely check out the table. You see the website is down on the bottom. I think I said .org. It's actually .com,
Okay.
thetableaction.com,
Yep. Check
so
us
that
out.
you can definitely go and check them out. Now, let's go ahead and bring back up our phenomenal guest that we have this evening, Miss Nikki Strather Middleton. Got it
Hey,
right.
Nikki.
Hi,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Good. I was cracking up when you all were talking about scheduling text messages.
Oh,
Yes,
I
notorious
do.
for it.
I do the exact same thing. Yeah. It's very important.
it is. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, and I noticed that you could, and you may do this already too. You're probably more technologically savvy than I am, but you can schedule your emails too.
I do.
Mhm.
Yep. You do
Yep.
that too. Okay.
Mhm.
There you go. All
Everything's good.
right.
Mhm. Have to, especially when you've got so many balls that we're trying to keep in the air and trying to
Hmm.
remember emails and who I need to follow back up with. I'll take it out of the brain, assign it somewhere so that we can free up the capacity to do something else.
It's the
Right.
low hanging fruit. You have to get rid of the low hanging fruit so that you have capacity. Yeah, like you said, capacity.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Exactly. So before we went to the break, Nikki was talking about those who have inspired her along the way and the journey. And the question I asked was just simply the importance of the tribe that you have, or the importance of someone's tribe when it comes to them being able to be successful. So can you elaborate on that for us, please?
Oh, you have to have a tribe. You can't do it by yourself. You absolutely cannot. I mean, maybe you could. I couldn't do it by myself. Um, my I have great support. I have great friends. I have great family. Um, Sometimes I will go to Detroit. I will take my work to Detroit, and my aunt's there, and my aunt will help watch the kids. Or I'll go visit my mom, and she's like, "Oh, I'll take the kids to Legoland. Take my office. Get your work done." Is really important to have a tribe. And oh, and my line sister, I see she wants a Roomba. Yes, her, especially Ronnie. Ronnie is awesome. She is definitely my tribe.
That is phenomenal. So one of the things that our guests tend to face is some overcoming some kind of self-limiting, some self-limiting belief, and that could be anything from um, dealing with imposter syndrome, which we talked in lengthy detail about last week. Could be the notion of feeling like the one or only in the room. Did you ever in your process doubt yourself? And if so, what did you do to overcome it?
Not really, not too
Mhm.
much. The way that I was raised, there weren't failures. It was just try again, and you don't fail until you quit, and you can't quit. So figure it out. And that's kind of how my mom and dad were. So when I was struggling with something, my mom would be like, "Well, you know what? I have all faith that you will figure this out, and I'll be back in 30 minutes." Just growing up, so I think that kind of instilled where it's okay for me to bump my head against a wall, and then come back and say, "Okay, well, let me take another look at this wall because this wall cannot stay here. So
Mhm.
I have to get around this." And it kind of just made me like this unrelenting go getter. I wake up and I feel like I have to achieve something before the day is over. Um, and so I not really that, but more of um, how can I more of just meeting challenges and saying, okay, what challenge am I conquering today? And not really feeling, I don't feel right if I don't conquer the challenge for the day.
Mhm. I like the fact that you set the day. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just the nature of establishing what the most important thing is that you're going to overcome specifically for the day keeps you focused, and it keeps you from deviating onto things or getting pulled into distractions that then, steal or squander your time. So I appreciate the fact that you talked about the nature of being effective with your day and not only setting the tone for what you are going to tackle for that day.
Right. With In software development, we have Scrum, which is like
Mhm.
a methodology for how we we do our software development, how we approach it, how we go about doing it. And part of it is taking these huge tasks and is breaking it down into these little bite-sized pieces.
Yep.
And checking off each bite-sized piece and coming back and just being accountable for those bite-sized pieces. So that's kind of what helps me to say, okay, this is my set of tasks for today, and kind of plan baby steps to going forward.
Plan baby steps to go forward.
So what do you, Nikki, I mean, you're organized and all that stuff. What do you say to the procrastinators that are organized procrastinators?
That is me. I am an organized procrastinator. I am. But you have to kind of do the little stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to push back on some things. It's okay to say, okay, something, I don't have the energy for it today. So let me make sure that when I see it tomorrow, that I'm ready for it. So if I say I'm procrastinating on this today, tomorrow is something I have to get back up and tackle. Okay. So it's procrastinate within a box.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Within a box. Okay.
Yes. Time box your procrastination.
Gotcha. Okay. So interesting. Now, do you find yourself with your other relationships outside of work? Do you find yourself getting frustrated with people that aren't maybe as organized as you, or you find yourself, wanting to coach them along, or how do you deal with people that are maybe not as organized?
Actually, so I took my Myers-Briggs test. I'm an ESTP, and my personality pivots really well. Mm-hmm. So for people who aren't so organized, I can kind of pivot with them and kind of slow down in a moment without getting sidetracked from the things that I need to do. And a lot of it also is hitting multiple birds with one stone. So I might be out with somebody who maybe isn't doing as much, but maybe I'm doing that while I am doing quality time with the kids, and I might be Christmas shopping, and we're doing it all together at once. So now I've knocked out 3 things with this one person who maybe isn't doing as much as I'm doing, but it's really just, I guess, managing expectations and planning your day around being around that person.
Okay, gotcha. So you think this is a trait that you're born with, or something that you're more trained to do?
I've just been like this my whole life.
Are your kids the same?
My oldest is more of a planner. My younger one, she bounces around a little bit more.
Okay, gotcha.
And what would you say, Nikki, are some core attributes that women should have in order to be successful?
Let's see. One of the things I had to learn early in my career was, and it was actually told to me that when I was younger, that I did not exude, I guess, developer confidence when I went into interviews, and it made people feel like maybe I didn't know what I was talking about. So it made my interview process a little harder. And I saw the show last week about the imposter syndrome. And so it's kind of where you can't show it. You have to learn how to kind of just sit and be okay with the fact that you may not know some things, but also kind of stand and present very confidently so that you can sell yourself to the hiring managers and other technical people, because in IT, you solve technical problems, but really what your job is you're really proficient at interviewing. I am. So that's like the main skill that I would think would help a lot of women.
Being confident in oneself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so at what point did you realize that I may have missed this, that you wanted to go into the IT world?
Well, my mom put me into the computer programming curriculum in high school. My high school had curriculums.
Oh, did you say you're from Detroit?
Yes, I am.
Did you
I
see
went to Cass.
CT?
Yes.
Me too. Okay. When you say curriculum, I thought I heard you say something about Detroit earlier. Okay.
Cass creates Black excellence.
Yes. Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's two types of people.
Right. Those that went to Cass and those that didn't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're good.
We're having a good time.
That's what this is
So you were in
about.
the computer curriculum. Was it computer science curriculum at Cass?
Computer programming. It was under the business. Was it business module? It was under them.
Yeah, I know it's evolved. I was in the business curriculum, and and that's where I wound up in life. But yeah, so talk about then. I meet people, and it was interesting. I was in a meeting with some people, and they were talking about qualities of people that they meet from Detroit. And the name of this story, this program is Women with Grit. How much of your grit would you say is attributed to how you were brought up, and and just things that you might have seen or done in Detroit? Give us an idea of what you attribute your grit to, because you're in a world, an IT world for a Black woman is is rare air.
I've heard. I get that interview question a lot. What's it like to be a Black woman in IT? Being from Detroit, I guess you have to have grit being from Detroit. Detroit is a city of hustlers, city of small business. It's the city where TGI Fridays did not want to come into the city, and we would have to drive out to Dearborn to go to Fridays, to go to Benihana's, to go to Chili's, to go to almost anything that wasn't a small business. And so I guess just being around people who were just out doing their thing, making it work, just being examples of just hustling and grinding, it kind of gives you that.
Yeah, I remember when my senior year of high school, and I'm much older than you, but the city of Dearborn came up with a new ordinance that required you to be a resident of Dearborn to use the parks. Now, of course, Dearborn was literally across the street from across Joy Road from Detroit, and so but that was a requirement. And so my group, and I was like, my group, we had a big conference that was going to happen at Fairlane, which is a big hotel in Dearborn, and we said, nope, we're not going. We'll keep this money to ourselves. And then the people of the city of Detroit, because what we understood what they were doing, it wasn't, how do you know that somebody's not from Detroit? Well, if they're Black, then they're not from Detroit. They're not from Dearborn, because at that time there were no Black people in Dearborn. Now it's a large population of Chaldean Americans or what have you. They've kind of taken over the whole city, all of Dearborn. But back then, so we just said, okay, well, we're not going to shop at Fairlane, and we're not going to do anything then. And that was like the first boycott that I've ever been a part of in high school. So another question for you. So how can men support women? Or what do you feel the role is of a man in supporting a woman that's on the grind, that's really pushing and wants to be successful and pushing and or is successful? Do you have a son?
No, I have 2 daughters.
Okay. You have 2 daughters. If you were going to talk to a nephew or a mentee, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to to stay confident, and I would tell him to kind of try to be partners. So everyone's not 100%, and everyone has weaknesses. And so where she's weak, To match up good. Where she's weak, you need to be strong, and where you're weak, she needs to be strong. So, I mean, I think that I guess just about anywhere, it's just really finding somebody who like works well with you. I'm sorry, I can't talk.
I'm sorry. Probably need a little bit more water. Go ahead, take a break.
Believe it or not, we're winding down. So,
Oh wow.
time, yes, we only have a couple minutes left, but we'll definitely want to make sure we open it up to the audience. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat function, and we will be sure to get them in front of Nikki while she is here for sure. And while they are doing that, Nikki, what are some nuggets that you would like to leave for our viewers tonight?
Let's see. Don't overstress. Um, for tasks. Don't let life stress you out. It's okay to delegate. You don't have to do everything yourself. And villages, make sure that you have a good supportive village.
Right.
And then what kind of stuff do you like to do for fun?
I am an adrenaline junkie. I like there used to be those really fast go-karts on Oakman.
Mm-hmm.
I like to drive those really fast ones.
Okay.
I like to travel. I've been scuba diving. That was awesome. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
The anything bungee, shoot me in the air.
No, ma'am.
Roller coasters. I am an avid Cedar Point. I love roller coasters.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say travel? Traveling with my friends.
So are you into skydiving as well?
I have not gone skydiving. Every 3 months or so, my dad says he wants to go skydiving, and we get up and we're about to take him, and then he gets busy and we never go.
Mm-mm. Hats off to you. You lost me with bungee jumping out of any, plane, but going fast on the go-karts, jet skiing, that kind of stuff. I'm there.
Yeah.
That's like driving. I like American Muscle.
Oh, do you? Okay. All right. So you're a Hellcat, Challenger, or
I have a Challenger. I'm sorry, I have a Charger. I currently drive a Charger.
Okay.
It's a Scat.
Okay.
You can see me flying down 285.
Okay.
I understand that.
Yeah. So now was your mom or dad an adrenaline junkie, or is that just your
My dad?
Your dad. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how about your daughters? Do they seem to be following?
I could definitely see the 3-year-old trying to jump out of a plane one day.
Okay.
She has no fear, none whatsoever.
Okay.
I could my 5-year-old. She's more of a can we go get our nails painted? And I'm like, yes, we can.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
I can do that too, right? So.
Gotcha. Yeah, our 3-year-old. He's like your 3-year-old. He's all in. He's jumping from wherever he can jump from, and he sees his older brother who's 8 doing the same thing. I mean, he plays football, all that stuff, but they'll go up as high on the stairs as they can, and then they want to jump, and and I cut that off when you expect me to catch you.
No, we don't play on the stairs.
Yeah, So, boys, they take it to a whole nother level, but that's fine. Well, cool.
Is he the second child, or?
So we have a family of 6. He is number 4.
Number 4.
He's number 4, but he's the oldest of the youngest. So we have a 10-year break. We have an 18-year-old is number 3, and then we have a number. Then we drop down to, and the 8-year-old, 8, 7, and 3. 7-year-old, she's like your 5-year-old. Loves the camera, loves dolls, loves anything. She goes and tries to put on high heel shoes, all that kind of stuff. So, yep.
My 5-year-old, she's practicing for her YouTube channel.
Okay.
She looks at my phone and she makes videos and she says, "And please like and subscribe today."
Okay. Our 8-year-old is like that. He does a lot of TikToks, and he's got all the green screen. He's got all that stuff. So he loves doing all that stuff. He's a creative. He's, all that too. So, well, cool.
Mine is looking at the YouTube and too.
But I wanted to.
Yeah, I have not allowed him to do YouTube. Now that we're starting to move into that phase, and kind of, I'm a little bit old school in terms of integrating him on the web, and that's the reason why you seldomly see pictures and things of that nature. I'm a little bit like, but I'm getting there.
We're like that with the kids too, and so that's why all of her YouTubing is restricted to my camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I have good news and bad news for you. One is your kids are going to be doing that, and you still thinking that you're protecting them, and they're doing.
I know it's better for you to be on the front end of it, right?
Yeah. They'll be listening to all the music. They'll be doing a lot of stuff that parents are saying, "Oh no, we're not going to allow that to happen yet." So we have a question in from Sephiroth Prime. How does your work affect relationships?
Well, it can be stressful at times because sometimes my work is laid back and I have, all the time to have date nights and hang out at the house. And then sometimes I wake up and there are 45 fires to put out. And then it's, I have to go and I don't have time, and I wish I had more time, but I have to go and I have to take care of this. So it can be good and it can also be bad. So being in a relationship with someone who has a demanding tech field is understanding that their time allotment is a roller coaster.
That's good.
So understand the industry that your partner is in.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
I love that. Yeah. Well, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great note to end on. You have if somebody wants to follow you on social, how can they? Are you on social, and how can they follow you?
I am on social. I'm on LinkedIn. Nikki Strather Middleton. I am on Instagram, Nikki_M_knows. And I'm on Facebook.
Okay, great. So feel free to follow Nikki on any of her social. Reach out to her if you have any additional questions. And of course, you can reach out to Sherelle or I on our Women with Grit Facebook page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to our website. However you want to connect to us, do that. And Sherelle, how can somebody follow you?
How can they follow me? I am Sherelle Lands on pretty much all platforms. So if you YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, what's the other one? LinkedIn, any of those, www.sherellelands.com. Or if you're trying to reach my business, www.visionstrategymanagement.com.
All right. And that's how you can reach Sherelle. And for me, I'm Lee Mollett on Facebook. I am L Mollett II on Instagram, and Lee Mollett II, I think, on LinkedIn. And then I think I'm on Twitter at L Mollett II. Now, if you see a younger version of me, then you found Lee Mollett III. He's a few inches taller, a little slimmer, looks a little bit younger. That's Lee Mollett III.
Mhm.
Oh,
Well, I want to make sure we do a quick recap. First, Nikki, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story of grit with our viewers. I mean, no shortage of notes. I was sitting here scribbling profusely as you were speaking. So, thank you first for gracing the stage of Women with Grit and taking
Thank
time
you.
out of your schedule to connect with us. So, I want to give a quick recap of just some of the key nuggets and things that I took as it relates to our time tonight. Again, you guys, there's no excuse for just getting the Cliff's notes. You want to make sure that as you share this and share this with someone that you feel needs the information or who could benefit from it as well. But Nick, one of the things that you talked about, especially from a technological perspective, is find ways to automate your household. If there are tasks that you're finding are repetitive or kind of if we're running a busy schedule and things are always coming at us, what are some of the things within your household? Really ask yourself that you can automate. And if you can't automate those things, how do you delegate them to get them off of your plate? Learning how to juggle, but also recognizing that there is real value in being able to simplify your life. So find those ways to automate consistent tasks that you do every single day. Find your tribe. Nikki talked about just the importance of having that village and making sure that that village is there to support you, whether it be within your career or your personal life as well. Making sure that you have the village in place. Tackle the small, low hanging fruit, right? Those things that are very simple to do. We talked a little bit about, scheduling text messages, and as simple as that sounds, it can take a load off of your mind and take a load off of your plate just by being able to do those things more effectively. And I love the fact that, Nikki talked about there really isn't failure until you quit. But when quitting isn't an option, you must figure it out, right? So lending itself to there is no plan B, focusing on plan A and recognizing that we only learn through challenging circumstances. We don't fall or fail in them. They become a part of the learned experience that helps us to become who we are. Be effective with your day to achieve what you set out to do, right? Set out with an understanding of what the important priorities are for the day or important challenges are that you must go after and tackle. By doing so, it helps you to focus your time and make sure that you are not always constantly responding to distractions. Plan baby steps for your day. And it's all about, how do you eat an elephant, right? We've all heard that cliche, one bite at a time. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to managing our day and being able to balance throughout our day. When it comes to being an organized procrastinator, I love that terminology, Lee, organized procrastinators, right? It's okay to do the little stuff and sometimes procrastinate within a box, which means it doesn't occur indefinitely. You have to put some guardrails around how long that procrastination must take place. Be comfortable with pivoting where needed, right? Sometimes the order of the day requires flexibility. So being comfortable and knowing when to flex and pivot helps you to continue to push. Be effective with your time by managing expectations of yourself, as well as helping others with how they should manage their expectations of you. And then the one of the last things she said was when it comes to confidence and recognizing that you are your biggest advocate for your capabilities. So learn how to be okay with not knowing everything, but also still be able to confirm your capabilities and being confident enough to show that you can still either prove your way through or learn your way through. Everyone has weaknesses, so find people who are able to balance those out, right? So making sure that as you're looking to strengthen that core, to strengthen that tribe, that you find the right people who you can connect with that help to balance out your weaknesses. Don't overstress. Don't let life stress you out, right? Find the moments to really breathe within and recognize that it is truly okay to delegate, and we don't have to do it all in order to have it all, right? And that's what I will leave at least with us. So thank you so much, Nikki, for your time
Thank you.
and for the opportunity to grace the stage of Women
yes,
with Grit.
yes. Thank you, Nikki, and thank you to all of you all. Make sure that, as Sherelle said earlier, make sure you share this with your friends. And then, if you're not following us on Facebook, ask that you go to our Facebook page and follow us and like the. Hold on a second. Okay, gotta iPad that made it up here.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of technology, but follow us on IG, Exceptional Women with Grit. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, Women with Grit, on YouTube. And we look forward to seeing you again. Also check out our website, www.womenwithgrit.com. And we just look forward to seeing you all next week. Again, like, share, make sure you send this to, Nikki, thank you. Just some really good stuff that will help a lot of people. And so definitely want you all to share it with those that you care about and those that you know can use the words that you heard today. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening and an amazing week. We look forward to seeing you again next week on Women with Grit, 6 p.m.
Bye.